Unit 4, Iteration. Topic 4.4, Nested Iteration. Nested iteration statements are iteration statements that appear in the body of another iteration statement. You've experienced nested loops every time you have looked at an analog clock like this one. It's made up of seconds hands, a minutes hand, and an hour hand. When the seconds hand completes one full loop, what happens? The minute hand moves 1 minute forward, and this continues over and over again. Another example is a stopwatch. As time goes by, the inner loop will increment in seconds until it reaches 1 minute. When that occurs, the outer loop increases by 1 and resets the inner loop of seconds back to 0. This is the nested for loop syntax. Start with the keyword for. Initialize the outer loop control variable. Java programmers usually use I to represent the outer loop control variable. Set the condition that needs to be met, and then update the loop control variable. Open curly braces. Indent and create an inner for loop. Initialize the inner loop control variable. Java programmers usually use J to represent the inner loop control variable. Set the condition that needs to be met, and then update the loop control variable. Open curly braces. When a loop is nested inside another loop, the inner loop must complete all its iterations before the outer loop can continue. Let's look at this example. The outer for loop control variable I has been initialized to 1. It will continue to loop while I is less than 5, and it will be incremented or updated by 1. The inner for loop control variable J has been initialized to 1. It will loop while J is less than 3 and increment or update by 1. What do you notice about the output? When the outer loop control variable is 1, the inner loop will complete all of its iterations before the outer loop will continue. Let's visualize this another way. Pause to trace and predict the outcome of this nested loop. Pay attention to the output. What does the outer loop represent? This represents the number of lines or rows that will be output. What does the inner loop represent? This represents the number of values in a line or row. When working with 2D arrays, this will represent the number of columns. Let's visualize this code in action. Notice how J starts over when I increments, meaning J is initialized back to 1. Try solving this exercise. Now try this exercise. What will happen to the value of results if we switch the loop headings in this code segment? Now try this exercise. What will happen to the value of results if K is initially set to 1 instead of 0?